one of the must-dos things is to give Shedeur a chance, a real chance. I want him with the ones from the OTAs all the way through training camp. And let's see what he's got. If he's not good enough, I'll be the first one to admit it. I don't believe that. I think the kid can play.
Deshaun Watson hasn't been great or a high-level quarterback since 2020, before the Browns traded for him. He's never been that guy for Cleveland.
He's going to be terrible. Okay, it was terrible last time. It's not going to work this time. We're kidding ourselves. It's still Deshaun Watson, this time coming off an injury.
Let's say Deshaun Watson balls out, and you have to start him. Let's say he starts 5-2. Who knows what happens? Let's say he gets on the field and wins 4 games in a row. What if he gets on the field and wins 9 games out of 12 that he plays? In other words, no one's considering the scenario where he's good.
On one side, you've got Deshaun Watson, a 30-year-old beat-up veteran who hasn't looked like an NFL quarterback since the Obama era. On the other side, you've got Shedeur Sanders, a 25-year-old rookie who showed more promise in 7 starts than Watson has shown in the last 3 years combined. And Cleveland sports legend Tony Rizzo is absolutely losing his mind, because this isn't just a bad decision. This is organizational sabotage. This is the Cleveland Browns doing exactly what they do best, finding the single worst possible way to handle the most important position in football. Watson hasn't been good since 2020. His last QBR was 21, which made him the worst starting quarterback in the entire National Football League. The guy was throwing hospital balls left and right, and we're supposed to compete with that? Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders stepped into the worst situation in football. He had a head coach who didn't even want him out there, a game plan that looked like it was designed for a retirement home, and he still won more games than anyone else on that roster. And even after proving himself under those conditions, Shedeur is now being thrown into a quarterback battle against Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson has never had as many passing yards as Shedeur. All right, and they both played 6 games, 7 games. Like, Shedeur more touchdowns, obviously more interceptions for Shedeur as well. But you want to talk about mobility? Monken likes the scrambling quarterback. Shedeur's got more rushing yards than Watson.
Here's a fact nobody in Cleveland wants to talk about. Watson has never, not in a single game, thrown for as many yards as Shedeur put up in his limited action. Never, not once, not even close. But sure, let's hand him the starting job anyway. Why exactly? Because we paid him too much money to admit we were wrong? Because Andrew Barry's ego can't take another quarterback failure on his resume? Because Jimmy Haslam thinks he can wish Watson back to his Houston days if he just believes hard enough? This is exactly what Joey Donnie was talking about when he compared Watson to a toxic ex-girlfriend.
It's almost as if Watson is like a toxic ex-girlfriend. You've been with her, didn't work, toxic for a reason, and now you're sat here thinking, well, maybe it would work out this time. Maybe she's changed. Maybe we could be something. He's going to be terrible.
The Browns have been in this relationship with Watson for 3 years now. All of Cleveland knows how it ends. We've seen the interceptions. We've watched him take sacks that a high school quarterback would have avoided. We've suffered through conservative play calling because the coaching staff simply didn't trust him to push the ball downfield. And now we're supposed to believe that after 2 Achilles tears and another full year of rust, he's suddenly going to be the answer? Come on. But Tony Rizzo brought up something that should make every Browns fan's blood boil. Even in the fantasy world where Watson somehow plays well, and that's a massive if, what's the end game?
What if Watson's good? Hold on. You're not bringing him back next year. Why would I want to build his resume for another team?
Even if Watson balls out, and again, the odds of that happening are about the same as winning the lottery while getting struck by lightning, he's gone after this season. His contract expires, he walks, and Cleveland is left holding the bag, having burned an entire year developing a quarterback for another team to benefit from. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders, the guy we actually have under contract for 3 more years, is sitting on the bench watching his development get stunted, all because this organization is too stubborn to admit the Watson experiment failed. Does that make any sense to you? Because it sure doesn't make sense to me. And Rizzo dropped the perfect comparison that should end this debate once and for all.
As I watched Sam Darnold win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you'd have laughed me out of this chair 2 years ago if I told you that was going to happen.
Sam Darnold. The same Sam Darnold who was labeled a bust with the Jets. The same Sam Darnold everyone had written off completely. The same Sam Darnold who got one real chance with competent coaching and a functional organization around him and just won a Super Bowl. The Browns were about to do the exact opposite with Shedeur Sanders. We're going to take a talented young quarterback, destroy his confidence by making him compete with a 30-year-old who can barely walk straight, stunt his development by splitting reps, and then act shocked when he doesn't reach his potential. This is the Cleveland Browns playbook, folks. This is what we do. We take promising young talent and we ruin it. Baker Mayfield, run out of town. Now he's thriving in Tampa Bay. Deshaun Kaiser, wrecked his confidence, gone from the league. Johnny Manziel never stood a chance with this organization's dysfunction, and now we're about to add Shedeur Sanders to that same list, unless someone inside that building grows a spine and makes the obvious call. Shedeur played 7 games behind the worst pass protection in modern NFL history, and people are ready to write him off completely. The double standard is absolutely insane.
Worst offensive line in the league when Shedeur was out there. You can't tell me that's not a factor. Like, actually, though, you can't tell me that's not a factor. You're seeing quarterbacks that are franchise guys right now, like C.J. Stroud, fall apart.
The offensive line matters. The coaching matters. The supporting cast matters. You can't throw a rookie quarterback into a burning building and expect him to walk out without a scratch. But that's exactly what the Browns did to Shedeur. They threw him into a situation where he had the worst offensive line in football, no running game to speak of. He actually led the team in rushing in most of his starts. A head coach who didn't want him playing and only put him out there because the other options were somehow even worse. Conservative play calling that handcuffed everything he could do, and special teams that gave up big returns like they were handing out free samples at Costco. And despite all of that, he won more games than any other quarterback on the roster. He showed genuine flashes of brilliance. He made throws that had Browns fans jumping off their couches.
Sanders, he's looking long. He's got a man caught at the 10-yard line. Bonds, he's down to the 1-yard line.
He gave this city hope for the first time in years. But sure, let's bench him for a guy who couldn't even beat out Bailey Zappi in a quarterback competition. The disrespect is astronomical. And here's the thing that really gets under my skin. The thing that makes you want to put your fist through a wall. Todd Monken, the new head coach, has already said he's excited to work with Shedeur. He's already praised his arm talent, his mobility, his football IQ. Monken even admitted he tried to draft Shedeur when he was in Baltimore. So the new coach, the guy who's supposed to be leading this team into the future, wants Shedeur. But Andrew Barry, the general manager who has botched every single quarterback decision since taking over, he's the one pushing for Watson? Let's go through Andrew Barry's quarterback track record real quick. Traded for Deshaun Watson, disaster. Gave Watson a fully guaranteed $230 million contract, disaster. Traded for Kenny Pickett, lasted half a season before they gave up on him. Signed Joe Flacco, played well, then shipped him off for nothing. Drafted Dorian Thompson-Robinson, third string at best. That's the guy we're trusting to make the right call on our quarterback of the future? That's the guy who gets to decide between a broken-down 30-year-old and a talented 25-year-old with his whole career ahead of him? Forgive me if I don't have much confidence in Andrew Barry's quarterback evaluation skills. Tony Rizzo summed it up perfectly when he talked about giving Shedeur a real chance.
One of the must-do things is to give Shedeur a chance, a real chance. I want him with the ones from the OTAs all the way through training camp. And let's see what he's got. If he's not good enough, I'll be the first one to admit it. I don't believe that. I think the kid can play.
Exactly.
Give him a real chance, not some half-baked competition where the deck is stacked against him from day one. Not a setup where he's splitting reps with a veteran who's already mentally checked out. Give him the full off-season program, give him the first-team reps, give him the time to build chemistry with the receivers, give him the room to learn the new offensive system without looking over his shoulder every 5 minutes. And if he's not good enough after all that, fine, we admit it, we draft another quarterback and we try again. But we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to this fan base that has suffered through decades of quarterback failures to find out what we actually have in Shedeur Sanders. Because here's the reality nobody in that building wants to face. Shedeur might actually be the guy. He might be the franchise quarterback this city has been searching for since Bernie Kosar retired. He might be the answer to 30 years of quarterback purgatory. He might be the player who finally brings a championship to Cleveland. But we will never know if we don't give him the chance. And if we waste this opportunity, if we bench him for Deshaun Watson, if we stunt his development, if we drive him out of Cleveland the same way we drove out Baker Mayfield, we will regret it for the next decade, minimum. Mark my words, if Shedeur Sanders ends up on another team and becomes a star, if he wins a Super Bowl somewhere else, if he becomes the quarterback we all knew he could be, the Cleveland Browns will go down as the most incompetent franchise in the history of professional sports, and we'll deserve it, every bit of it. Because we had the answer right in front of us. We had the talented young quarterback who could have saved this franchise. We had the future sitting in our quarterback room, and we chose a broken-down 30-year-old instead. Joey Donnie put it best when he put the Watson narrative to rest once and for all.
He's going to be terrible. Okay, it was terrible last time. It's not going to work this time. We're kidding ourselves. It's still Deshaun Watson, this time coming off an injury.
Enough of the narrative. Watson is not going to magically get good again. He's not going to wake up one morning and suddenly be the Houston version of himself. He is not going to overcome 2 Achilles tears and 6 years of decline and return to Pro Bowl form. It's not happening. The sooner we accept that reality, the sooner we can move forward and build around the quarterback who actually has a future in this league. Shedeur Sanders is 25 years old. He's mobile, he's got arm talent, he's got the competitive fire you want in a franchise quarterback. He has everything. Deshaun Watson is 30 years old. He's coming off major injuries. He hasn't been productive in 6 years. He is a sunk cost, and it's time to move on. This should be the easiest decision in football, but this is the Cleveland Browns. We don't do easy. We do complicated. We do dysfunctional. We do self-sabotage. So here we are in February watching Tony Rizzo and the entire Cleveland fan base lose their minds over a quarterback decision that should have been made the second the season ended. Start Shedeur Sanders. Give him the full offseason. Build the offense around him. Protect him with an actual offensive line. Surround him with weapons. Let Todd Monken coach him up. And watch him become the quarterback this city has been waiting for since 1999. Or don't. Keep clinging to Deshaun Watson. Keep pretending he's going to be the answer. Keep making the same mistakes you've made for 25 years and watch this fan base finally lose hope for good.
The choice is yours, Andrew Berry. But make no mistake, if you choose Watson over Sanders, if you waste another year of this franchise's future on a broken-down veteran, if you run off another talented young quarterback, you will go down as the worst general manager in Cleveland Browns history. And trust me, that's really saying something. So do the right thing. For once in your career, make the obvious decision. Start Shedeur Sanders. Let's finally put an end to this quarterback nightmare once and for all. Because Cleveland, we deserve better than this. We have suffered long enough. We've watched enough bad quarterbacks. We've endured enough incompetence. It's time to win. It's time to build. It's time to finally get this right. And it starts with Shedeur Sanders under center Week 1. Anything less is just another chapter in the never-ending tragedy that is Cleveland Browns football.